Welcome to the Foul Play YouTube channel. This is the PowderPuff edition. Today we're going to be discussing, we're going to have a general roundtable about the previous podcasts and reading some comments. And I want to let you know you can join us on Discord. The link will be in the description. So, ladies, today I have with me Neverly and BB, and
Hello.
Hey.
on our very first video, we did just an intro to the PowderPuff, and we actually were discussing like weighting and some of the things that were going on at the time. And I remember asking a question to the listeners about how far does the corruption go and how long will it go on, you know? And on here we have a comment from Charlotte Dowling, and she says the cops and prosecutors thought no one would care what happened to Stephen and Brendan. Let's just plant evidence and will be the end of it, and we won't have to pay Steve and Avery. How wrong were they? The whole world is watching this corruption. Bring it on for 27th of March 2020 so KZ can put this to arrest and free two innocent men. And
Yeah.
well, we've had a few hiccups since then, so I say bring it on. They need to step up.
Hiccups or viruses or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, they say patience is a virtue.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're perfecting that virtue
Yeah. But I kind of want
by
to
waiting
go
and
just
waiting.
cover briefly some of the podcast and some of the comments and acknowledge some of the folks that are commenting on here. And there's plenty of conversation on Discord. So anyhow, don't be afraid to come on over.
And sometime after our video, uh, on Tuesday, will be Linda and One Strand with Trash Talking Tuesdays.
Yeah.
You'll have
Oh
to try and
God.
catch that.
Linda K listening on YouTube. Yep. So our next video was basically about speculation, and I was just trying to get across there. I honestly thought that this whole case against Stephen was pure speculation, and Graham Moss commented, and he says they got a guilty verdict with pure speculation, and KK live disgusting newscast put the top
Mm-hmm.
hat on it. Yep, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That was absolute.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, what's the word? Uh, Prejudiced and, what's the other word for it? We've learned since the podcast with the lawyer, law
Are you talking
teacher.
about a legal term?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
prosecutorial
Prosecutorial
misconduct.
misconduct. That's it. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It was
Well, a whole lot of that
highly,
could be said for this case, you know?
yeah. Well,
I
that
mean,
guy did about Gratz every minute.
it
Ah,
was kind of hard not to. It really was. I mean, if you look at this whole case, really, honestly, it's boiled down to basically all speculation, you know?
And prosecutorial misconduct.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I can't see anybody that could argue it wasn't. Absolutely. And our next one that was about the Guilters Challenge. Um, let's see here. Baba,
That was a fun one.
yeah, yeah. I enjoyed that, and I really appreciated that document because I hadn't seen it before, really, honestly, in all of this time and all of the stuff I have looked into. And I found it really interesting. And I think Baba Sheeny said,
Love that name.
yeah, First time here and great content. Fingerprints on a vehicle crime scene and no testing done? Are those people morons? Well,
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
kind of looks
No,
like it.
they're just sneaky. They lifted up those fingerprints that excluded Stephen and Brendan, but they won't tell us whom they belong to.
I honestly believe that there were some people that just took the ball and ran with it. I think they saw they had a bunch of people under their thumb that would do exactly what they wanted them to do when they wanted them to do it, and they took the ball and ran with it. You know, I really do. I don't believe, you know, how many people have said, oh, well, if it's a conspiracy, you know, to get him and nail him, so many people had to be involved in order for that to happen. Well, no, to be truly, completely honest, you can have two ringleaders guiding this thing right straight into the gutter.
And that's how it's done.
Yep,
If you told everybody, they wouldn't be able to do that because they would have loose ends all over the place.
that's right. That's right. Because you have the rest of the folks under there beneath these folks doing what they're asked to do when they're asked to
Task
do it.
oriented. And
Yeah,
the whole investigation, quote unquote, was okay, forgive me for butchering this word, compartmentalized. There you go.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was having a
Yeah.
hard time with that one earlier.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. But I mean, to be really honest, you know, it wouldn't have taken an awful lot because if you look at this whole big picture during those few days when all of this took place, there was a whole lot going on and a lot of people were assigned certain posts and they were pretty busy, you know, and they were searching and they were kind of trying to keep people out and trying to connect other people with other people. I mean, it was just a mess. It was chaotic. I've listened to all the dispatch calls. So on this Gilter challenge, I found it interesting because there was quite a few questions in there that I really don't think anybody ever will be able to answer. So kudos. The next podcast we were on was brain fingerprinting, and I was asking my listeners, you know, would you do a brain fingerprint? And especially if you were actually being deposed for something. Sean Maroney said, can you confirm foul play that brain fingerprinting was considered in evidence in a case somewhere? And the answer to that is yes, in Iowa courts in the Harrington case. And I believe that this got him his freedom. So I'm interested in the brain fingerprinting, and I really hope and I really pray that more research is done. Maybe some more bills can be passed. Something can happen to where people can have this opportunity, you know, when they know they've not committed some horrific crime, and this could actually help them to find the people in question that really, really have committed such horrific acts. I would be in favor of this.
I think so too, Sammy. Unfortunately, it's going to pass, maybe a decade or so until this catches on, because so far out of 50 states, only Iowa has legalized this and accepted in the system that it could be used for exoneration or conviction.
Yep.
It's just,
Well,
but
you
when you
know,
think about it, when you go back to the 70s, that is exactly what happened with DNA.
yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
People didn't understand it. They were afraid of it. Yeah. So look at it now. It's widely used, and they're just perfecting it.
Yep. Well, I think maybe more emphasis needs to be put on this. More people need to be made aware of this.
Well,
You know,
and
there's,
maybe Sumner will be able to get it into court.
right.
You know, she had it done,
And God only
and I'm sure.
knows behind the scenes what the people who have created this have done for trials to see what effect it has on any kind of individual overall, because Also, there was a question about, what if somebody's not mentally fit? I have a funny feeling their brain will still respond to a memory of some kind with that murmur,
Of a known, yeah, of a known fact, yeah.
which can in fact help a person. I mean, who knows? Especially if they're mentally unwell and have no recollection of it, there's still probable chance that part of their brain, it's in there. It's in there somewhere. So this ought to be interesting. I would love to see more attention for the brain fingerprinting, because it's a very, this is something that can't be manipulated by either the person giving the test or the person taking the test. And I really like that, because you're not
Yeah,
sitting there getting needled by another human being for a confession.
yeah, and your adrenaline is not going to skew the results like it
Right.
can
That's
in
right.
the regular polygraph.
I mean, if you think about it, really, this could bring a lot of ease into, the process the law enforcement has for, because I know this job cannot be easy when you have to investigate everything under the sun. But something like this, if people really did more diving into this and looking into this and finding out how this really does work in a setting where they might be having to bring people in and question them, maybe this could take some of the pressure off of the individual being questioned and some of the pressure off the officer enough for people to continue to have clarity and be moving in the right direction. And maybe focus on some more important facts.
Well, you're talking about a county that actually investigates the crime, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if they really,
Assuming that
really
they do.
want,
Yes.
Yeah.
yes, the answers.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Let me correct myself. Assuming that they're actually
Yeah, the
investigating.
county would, yeah, actually investigate.
So our next podcast we did was victimology, or lack of victimology. And basically, we just kind of went over what victimology was. I put out there what expert victimologists would look like, as far as, who that would be in court. And Neverly, I really, really appreciated you summed it up very nicely, about, the big victim was deified. And despite some of the lifestyle choices that she had, and I'm not judging, I'm just saying, if they really were doing any kind of victimology with using the facts and using the people that surrounded her in her life, they might have actually got better information. They might have actually found out who really did this.
Yeah, or maybe they did, but we're not aware of it.
That's
Yeah.
true. Right, right.
Yeah.
But
And
for what?
Neverly's research notes are impeccable.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yep.
It was a fun read. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one a lot.
Me too. Me too. It was
My
just
pleasure.
another thing, that I really had not, I have heard of it and I had looked it up and all of this and that. But when you actually look at victimology here, you're looking at whole different, there's all different ways of interpreting that, and what it means for each situation is different, because we don't have a living person to do victimology with or on. And so they have to use a different kind of victimology to determine, what some of the factors were in making her vulnerable to be a
Yeah.
victim.
Hmm.
And it can't be a whitewashed version of the victim.
Well, if you were doing the proper investigation, no, you would want whatever the facts were, because those are the things that are going to lead you to the truth. Also, I really believe that. I really do. So we didn't have really too many comments on that. I think a lot of people are still kind of baffled with that because it was whitewashed. I really
And they
think they
didn't do a
dropped the
true
ball.
investigation. Yeah.
Right. They dropped the ball here. I really think that it was used to their advantage to make a
I think that
story.
they took advantage to exactly to fit the narrative. I think they know exactly who she was hanging out with, and all that. They just didn't tell us. Just like they didn't tell us that they returned the bones. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So they did their job, but they switched around, and you know how they vilified Stephen. Oh my goodness! And that's all done with purpose, which is all breaking the rules. Basically, you're not supposed to do that. That was the whole point. But they all knew that, and they just took advantage.
Well, for all intents purposes, victimology is meant for them to guide their investigation.
Investigation, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No matter
Yeah.
where it takes them, and
Not
we
the
know that
investigation
that didn't
guides the
happen.
victimology.
Yeah,
That. Yeah.
put
It's
her in the trailer or in the garage, right?
mhm.
So there you go.
Yeah. So then we did another podcast on misconduct of a special prosecutor. And I had asked,
That
My
was funny.
favorite.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, my favorite.
I
Oh
asked,
my
what did
God.
Kratz do to Stephen's right to be innocent until proven guilty in a court of law? And Hugh
Tap
Frazier,
danced on it.
yeah, oh my gosh.
Did a jig.
Hugh Frazier wrote a very extensive comment, and you may want to go back into this for the listeners. Into this video, go down to the bottom, scroll all the way down until you get to Hugh Frazier. He also put a link in there. But he said, it seems to me that Stephen's team of corrupt prosecutors, police, judges, politicians, and sundry hangers on will hang on to the res judicata doctrine for all they're worth. Example, they'll say that they've crossed and finished the line and everything's final with the convictions of Avery and Dassey. So what is needed now is something concrete to get one or both of the Hallback related cases back in front of the disinterested judge in a hearing that allows scrutiny of the glaring and obvious problems with these cases. Example, Zellner's evidentiary hearing. I don't see considerations of Kratz's character, morals, criminality, ethics being sufficiently concrete to get said further legal scrutiny unless some sort of smoking gun argument first paves the way. So, what could that smoking gun be? Well, Zellner is on promising ground with the matter of the unlawful return of the bones, and also Fallon's disingenuous reneging of his agreement to giving Zellner access to the Toyota RAV4. Also, there are promising lines of inquiry still ongoing regarding blood DNA, Culhane's actions, O'Kelly's deception, jury room misconduct, etc. But I wonder if the picture in the following link may add to the range of possibilities. Example, has the sunroof in Stern's pictures, but not in one of Teresa's with her RAV4, received scrutiny? So he posts a link. So, very interesting.
I think he liked what we had to say and what he
Right.
opines himself on what's obvious. Yeah, what happened
Right.
there.
And many people, we were talking about the Rav again today because that's like what we do 70% of the time, I think.
Yeah.
And there's many people who have brought up the sunroof. That in some pictures it appears to have a sunroof.
Really?
Yes.
And you know how
Well,
many
same
times
with
I've looked at
Pam
that?
of God. Yeah, Pam of God, when she said in the trial testimony that she alluded that the RAV had only 2 doors, that it wasn't a 4-door car.
Oh, yeah.
So we spent considerable time on that. And then in the actual trial, she made it sound like it was a 4-door. So which one was it?
Right.
And then she touched the car with a tissue in one testimony, and the other one it was the
A
same
sleeve.
testimony but with a sleeve. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh my gosh. There is so much BS. I mean, really, I'm curious to see where this can go because, I try to not forget that basically Zellner's job is to basically get him out of there. And however means, she has at her disposal to do so is how she's going to have to operate.
Well, and on the misconduct, that was the law professor that had been a district attorney from New York, right?
Yep.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he shredded crap. Oh, I loved it.
It was
He
beautiful. He was disgusted by Christ.
from beginning to end, from the pre-trial, from that god awful television appearance,
Press
all the
conference.
way the press conference, all the way through to where he wrote his book, where he still goes and does interviews now, to the letters he wrote
Yep.
to Steve while he was in prison, to his still hanging on to social media and still doing interviews. At every single thing he has done from beginning to end has been misconduct, abuse of power,
With
prejudice.
the
Yeah,
with the ladies, what he's
Absolutely.
done. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
I mean, there's
Just
something needs to be said for these people that are untouchable because they have a very serious impact on a case. So I feel like it should toe the weight of some kind of responsibility and accountability later for a situation
I,
like this.
I think Kretz broke the contract that grants him where he can't
Professional
be sued from.
immunity.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think he broke the contract. I really do. I don't see how that could even apply when he constantly broke the rules. That's
You
gross
would think
misconduct.
that they
You
would
know,
have parameters for that. That if you behave within parameters, then yes, you're protected by the professional immunity. But you can't really have a carte blanche
No, yeah, that's
what's
to
the
do
what,
whatever
point then
you
of the
want.
judicial
Yeah,
system? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that's part of my issue here is he's probably one of the very few people that would do what he did. And therefore I understand, that they have to have some kind of because they're going to have to do whatever it takes to get their case done. But at the same time, when it comes down
within the
to
law.
yeah, and
Yeah,
you're
within
not
the law.
yeah, it just seems like there's a whole lot of violations here, really.
They're
And
at an extra standard where they should conduct themselves extremely well, because of their position and their power.
Not to mention that they should be setting up an example
Yeah. Yeah.
of what to do, not what not to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Which now his press conference is used at some university, I think the one he went to, for what not to do as a district attorney making
now, what
an
does that
appearance in
say
front of
for
the
the
press.
college that taught him?
Yeah.
Interesting.
The
So
diploma privilege college.
we did on this podcast. In the description is a link for the document that we're discussing in this podcast. So if for people that are newcomers and you haven't heard this before, we did the podcast on misconduct of a special prosecutor, and in it we have a link to a document that was written up about this special prosecutor. So go ahead, check it out, look at it,
Well, and it seems intimidating. It's like it says it's 40 pages,
Oh no.
but in reality, like 12 or 13 pages of it was actually this guy's credentials.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Very, very, very educated man with a very valid affidavit. So there's that one.
Logical points, and it was a really easy read. Plus, it was so interesting. It validates your own feelings if you have an iota of logic, morality, if you have any um, ethical standpoints within who you are, you will agree with this person.
He kind of puts it all into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like this really puts it into perspective, took the words right out of my mouth. And in saying all of that, I want to invite people to, once again, there's going to be links in the description. Foul Play has Discord. You can come join the channel and have a chat just like this one with a whole bunch of people at the same time. And all you have to do is download the app, and I'm thinking when you click that link, you'll probably
If
get
they
an
take
invite.
the link, it automatically
Yeah.
yes, takes them
So
right on to our server. And
Foul
yeah,
Play is also on Facebook and Twitter. So check us out. The links are there in the description. We invite you over. Come on over if you want to research, if you want to offer your skills, go for it. We have lots and lots of people over there that have a ton of knowledge and a lot of time in this case. And let us know, leave us a comment here on our videos. Let us know what's on your mind, because we're paying attention. And
yeah.
I
And if you have an idea or something that you want us to look at, or we could always take a look and see if we could come up with something on it.
on our
Or if you have
podcast,
questions.
yeah, yep. Oh yeah. Well, you can always comment here. We generally try to premiere this so that we can also be in the chat when this plays, so we can talk to you there too. But I would love to see all of you over in Discord. If you like social media, you can click on the links for the Facebook or the Twitter and just have fun. On all of my podcasts, I always like to add in a little feel good moment. And I'm going to put in a link, and it's going to be to a Facebook. I'm going to put in a link of this young lady who is kind of showing off how she's spending her time in self isolation. And I thought she was adorable. So check that out. Everybody, you've got to have at least one moment in your day, especially at the end of your day, no matter how bad it's been. You have to sit back and take a deep breath and enjoy some part of this. Find one beautiful thing, one happy thing, one thing in that day that has brought you joy or just a good memory. And I call them a feel good moment, you know. And so
And
I don't want to end the podcast without one.
I still feel that I have to tell everybody, keep washing your hands, don't lick things, and be a decent human being.
Oh my goodness. Um, well, I guess you ladies, are you having anything left that you want to get off your chest or mention, or am I forgetting anything?
No, I would like just to thank all supporters that we mentioned and a million and one that we didn't, but you fall into the group of supporters. We really appreciate even your positive energy coming towards us, if nothing else. It doesn't have to be a comment, but we appreciate all the comments. So, for all the comments that were posted and all the ones that were not, we thank you anyways.
Yes. Oh, yes. Well, without and like I explained to someone the other day, because they were like, well, I'm stuck at home and I don't work, I can't work, and all I do is sit here and watch the stuff, or I'm not really a contributor. And I said, listen, now every single one of us has a role here, and without having people to get into this case and to watch all of these videos, even we would be nowhere. So I think even them, everyone is equal in this. Every single person is putting the energy into this. So I thank you for watching. And I want to tell you, don't count the days. Make the days count.